What is up, everybody? We are here, Yank this episode 10, double-digit episode. We finally made it. Um, we got a lot to talk about. We missed last week, but we have a lot to talk about. We have the big game last night, Josh Donaldson walking it off with the grand slam. Um, we got everything before that where the Yankees could not score for the life of them. And now we're looking forward to this Toronto and the Mets series. But right now, we are here. Tommy, how we doing? You love to hear it. So yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Let's talk about how this team finally got some run support. Yankees putting up 8 runs last night against Tampa Bay after having 1 in 31 innings. It was a rough stretch for the Yankees. We actually were able to put something on the board. Gleyber Torres. Oh, all right, bye, Tommy. Gleyber Torres got his 2-run shot to tie it up, and then Rizzo later in the game in the 8th inning was able to hit that solo shot to tie it up once again. Chapman gave up a couple of walks, and a lot of people are giving him shit for that last pitch. They are saying, "Oh, it shouldn't have been anywhere near the zone." To Mejia with the bases loaded, that was a good pitch. That was a low fastball. That was a solid pitch. Mejia was just able to poke it to the opposite field. Tampa Bay ended up scoring 3 off of that, unfortunately, but we ended up getting it back with the 3-run shot. The grand slam by Josh Donaldson, and sent the fans home happy. Tommy, we good?
I don't know what happened. I had to restart my phone real quick, but I'm back. Sorry, boys. I got my phone fixed real quick. I got my phone fixed 2 days ago. It was in with Apple for a day and a half from Saturday night till Monday. I had to take off of work and get it all addressed. It was crazy. It's all up and running, but just had an issue right now, so I do apologize. But yeah, man, like we were talking before, Chris, I fell asleep. We were down 4-2. I woke up. It was 7-4 and extra innings. I'm like, whatever. I'm going back to bed. I woke up and I looked at the group chat from my softball buddies, and it's like, Tommy, we needed this. I'm like, needed what? I'm like, we were down 7-4. Lo and behold, man, turn on the tube, man, check it out, and we won 8-4, 8-7. So huge win. Hopefully this gets Donaldson going. He's been playing pretty well. Hopefully we can ride off this and get something back, because we got a lot of not so good stuff going on right now.
Yeah. I mean, defensively, Josh Donaldson has been himself. Like, he's still been a stellar third baseman, and he's shown that he could still be an elite player at that position. The stick went quiet this year. That was only his 12th home run of the year, but it was a big one. Hopefully this is the momentum swing that we need to just get us back into winning form. Because since the All-Star break, we have just been struggling to put together a string of wins. We're under 500 since the All-Star break. The best team in this division since the All-Star break has been Baltimore, which I don't think anybody would have seen coming at the beginning of the year. But this Yankees team, even though we have been struggling, still hold a double-digit lead of the division, and we're still hunting down that first seed, which I believe Houston does hold right now, just via tiebreaker, and I think they do have a game on us as well. But it was fun to watch last night. Like I said, I almost turned the game off once I saw Chapman walk 2 people. I was mad initially when Mejia was able to poke it out, but it was a great pitch. Mejia just did something with it. And, when Donaldson walked up to the plate, I had no confidence. Very similar to the Houston game I went to earlier in the year. We were down 6-3, and Hicks came up to the plate, and I'm like, all right, game's over. We can't win this. And then he hits the 3-run shot to tie the game, and then Judge would win it in extras.
Yeah. Not only do you not have the confidence in Donaldson, but if you look at the Yankees as a whole, the whole team is not hitting in spots like that. Torres earlier in the game, first and third, with 1 out, automatic double play right up the middle, right? So it's like you see this all the time, and it's not just from Donaldson. It's from guys who are really, really, really struggling, like, Gleyber and other guys. It's just you're used to seeing this team at this stage in the game right now, and this 42 game stretch that we're on where we're not that good. This is what we're used to seeing. Earlier in the season, no problem. Bases loaded. That's a two-run double. But the way things been going lately, you expect them to not score, which sounds crazy, but that's the truth.
Yeah. I mean, even though again, this team has been struggling heavily just to put runs on the board over the last, I'd say, 2 weeks, week and a half. But we still have a plus 196 run differential on the season. We were just overly dominant at the beginning of the year. And, Ray said it in the group, Ray and Jeff both said it in the group chat. Things are just going to even out. We were just so hot, so dominant at the beginning of the year that things looked to be cooling down and going back to what they should be. But we are still one of the better teams in baseball because of it. We do have a big 4-game series coming up against Toronto. And then we have the Subway Series after that, followed by and then a road trip to Oakland. But let's talk about the Toronto series real quick. Toronto, they have the same record as Tampa Bay. And, they are also 11 games back. They're still a dangerous team. And if you look at that roster, it's still a murderer's row in the lineup with Bo Bichette, who always finds a way to beat this team. Vlad Jr., Lourdes Gurriel, Teoscar Hernandez, Alejandro Kirk having a career year. In this 4-game set, what do you see us going in these 4 games?
Well, I mean, we're not trending in the right direction, right? So, I hope it's not worse than 500. But I expect this team to like buckle down and play better ball. Like, you still have a pretty good team that you're putting out in the field with all 9 guys in the position players and then the bullpen and the starting pitching. Like, let's get it together. Reel it in, man up, and start playing better quality baseball. Like, beat this team. Take 3 or 4. Like, start I don't know if they're just too laid back, but it's go time, man. Like, start playing better. I don't understand. It's ridiculous. We're not a 70 and 30 win team, but we're not an 18 and 22 team either. You know what I mean? So just start hitting. Start doing little things like if you got 2-0 with no outs, bunt the guy over. Let's start doing something and produce runs.
Well, stuff like that hasn't just been a Yankees problem. That's been something throughout the league. Bunting has gone down, making sacrifices have gone down.
We have to change something though to get it going.
True. We have attempted to make some of these changes. We saw that at the All-Star break and the trade deadline, and we saw it yesterday when we called up Oswaldo Cabrera, and we brought back up Estevan Florio, who made a great catch in center field, shoestring catch in center field, and so it's not like we aren't attempting to make these moves to try and bring us a spark. We just got to wait and see if they'll work. Because I think Oswaldo Cabrera, when I see Oswaldo, I think he's a very good baseball player. He's in the MLB for a reason. He played great in AAA. Right now, I don't see him as the everyday starter of this team. I don't think he will be on the playoff roster of this team. But for what is needed right now, that spark of youth and that spark of, just getting somebody new to put in the lineup, I think is a great idea by this team, even though we sent down Andujar and LaCastro, who really weren't doing that much to begin with. I think they're attempting to make the right moves.
Yeah, I like getting Florio up there. Very good center fielder. His problem has always been his bat. Actually, the game. Florio out 30. That's pretty insane. So you're talking about a guy, if he played a full season and maybe gets about 650 at bats, that means he's striking out 210 times. That will be one of the league leaders. 30%, okay? So that's not. But I like the kid Cabrera, man. He's obviously the most ready him and Peraza are. And I'll tell you right now, Chris, if he does produce, Cabrera does, they put him out in the outfield in the minors and third base and second base and shortstop. He might be on the team over Marvin Gonzalez. If he produces with that.
Yeah, Marwin, I think, has like 1 hit in his last however many at bats, and it was against a position player. So
he also has 8 stolen bases in the minors. Does 8 stolen bases in his last 17 games. His stats were crazy. He's batting .380 with like 7 home runs, 30 RBIs, and like 8 stolen bases in his last 17 games for Cabrera. He's been playing really good. I can see him making the roster as the everyday utility guy if at the plate. And that first pitch he hit last night, he was just a little under it, man. I thought it was that thing would have been in the upper deck if he wasn't as under it as he was. I think the kid has a good grit about him, loves baseball. He does have a little Juan Soto shuffle in him. Clearly, guys, calm down, everybody. I'm not saying they're anywhere near each other. Clearly, they're not. But he has that like Juan Soto like shuffle when he looks to pitch. And I think the kid's really good. I think he's going to be really good. And I want to see what he's made of because I think that he's a better answer as a utility guy for the playoffs with speed. Now, would you rather have him or LaCastro? Like, what does LaCastro do with the bat?
Well, LaCastro is a guaranteed stolen base. That guy does not get caught at all. I think LaCastro as a guy that you could put out there for anybody, and he can swipe that bag and get us into scoring position and do stuff like that. Cabrera's fast. LaCastro's automatic on the base pass. If he's going, he's making it.
I'll tell you what, though. LaCastro won't make the postseason roster because when Bader comes back, you're going to have Benintendi in left, Bader in center, Judge in right. The fourth outfielder for the playoffs, whether you like it or not, Aaron Hicks is going to be on that team. He's not making $70 million off the postseason roster.
No, very true, very true. But you can say the same thing for Cabrera because at the end of the day, we are expecting to get back at least Giancarlo Stanton and Harrison Bader before the end of the year. Matt Carpenter is still a question mark, but if Matt Carpenter comes back, that's another guy that you're adding to the lineup. So I just don't see a way for Cabrera to get onto the playoff roster presently built just because he is a utility guy, but we have better ones. We have DJ LeMahieu who can play third, second, short. We got Donaldson who could play third. We just have the players there. I think for the short term, until when the 28-man rosters come up, I think for the next month and a half, it's a very good idea, but I don't see a way for him to make his way onto the playoff roster unless he just explodes immediately, hits like 10 home runs in the next month and a half and has like 20 RBIs and Gold Glove caliber defense.
Got to pull a Shane Spencer.
Yeah, he's got to go insane to make the playoff roster, especially with the guys that we have coming back. Because again, we're expecting Harrison Bader back, so like you pointed out, that takes away Tim LaCastro's impact. Giancarlo Stanton, we're expecting back.
He's saying that this weekend he's going to start a rehab assignment this weekend, and if knock on wood, he'll be back like next Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, so hopefully we'll be able to get him for the Met series. Then, but yeah, like we just have guys that we need to get back. Speaking of the injuries, though, we need to seriously have a discussion about what playoff time, what this back end of the bullpen is going to look like, because I have never been that big of a supporter of Aroldis Chapman, and I've made that known throughout this podcast ever since 2016 when he was a Cub and I saw him give up a home run to Rajai Davis in a Game 7. I can't trust him. But now we have Clay Holmes, who looks like he might be burnt. We have guys like Michael King and Chad Green who are out for the year. Who knows what the hell's going on with Zach Britton? I haven't heard a thing about him all year. He's been dead cat for about 3 years.
Yeah. Well, you can't really count on Britton, right? I mean, even when he was here, he was still, had one really solid year. Then a couple of years, where he wasn't really good. So, I'm writing down right now. I should have had this done earlier. I'm gonna write down how many guys do you think the Yankees will keep, by the way, in the bullpen for the playoffs?
It depends if they're going with a 4-man or a 5-man rotation. Because the thing with a 4-man rotation is they're going to have an off day in between. So Cole's going to go every 5 days anyway. If they go 4-man and put Tyone in the bullpen,
it's going to be Cole, Montes, Nestor, and Severino playoffs. That's your starter. Severino's healthy. They're keeping him down there to get him ready for September. pretty guaranteed. So you have Chapman, Marinaccio,
Yeah.
Peralta.
Lou Trevino, who they got in the Montas deal.
I bet you.
Wandy.
Yeah, I have Peralta. Chapman, Marinaccio, Peralta, Trevino is 4.
They would have to DFA Litke and Abreu because they don't have any minor league options left.
Yeah, Holmes will be there for the bullpen. That's already 5 guys.
Efros is definitely going to be there.
Of course, Efros, that's 6. So, what are they going to catch? 11.
Do you think that they keep Domingo up there for the playoff roster?
Domingo's probably going to be your. Honestly, I'd rather see Germán right now 100% more than Taillon.
Okay. I can see that. And again, throughout the podcast, check the episodes. I haven't been the biggest Jameson Taillon fan either.
Well, listen, I got 11 guys right now written down. Cole, Montes, Nestor, and Severino as your.
Okay.
Chapman, Marinaccio, Peralta, Trevino, Holmes, Efros, and Germán. That's 11.
So you're running a 14-man offensive lineup. So your 8 guys in the field would be Trevino.
Yeah, let's see.
Jose Trevino.
Yeah, so let's do it. Trevino, catcher.
Rizzo, first base. Glaber, second.
You think Glaber, really?
I think Glaber has proven himself to the point this year where I would trust him at second, and I would put someone like DJ at short.
No way, man. You can't. I'd rather see Torres at short.
We've seen Torres at short.
Yeah, but you can't put DJ at short. There's not a lot of range there.
All right, but he's more reliable. I would trust him more than I would trust Glaber at short. But either way, fine. That's your middle infield right there. Between or you could put DJ at third.
Yeah, so right now I got it here. Trevino at catcher, Rizzo at first, DJ at second. IKF's going to play short whether we like it or not. Donaldson at third, Judge in right, Benintendi left, Bader in center, and then your boy Stanton at DH. That's the lineup, dude. That's the set. That's the 9 guys right there. So now
I wouldn't be surprised if they put either Donaldson or IKF off the bench.
Now hold on. Now we got 20 guys. What was it? 4-man roster?
It's 25. 20. It's 24 or 26. I can't remember, but I think it's right 26 for the playoff roster.
We got 20 guys just now between positional players, okay, and pitchers. So now let's say Torres, obviously. Let's say Gonzalez, okay, right now, ability guy. One more. Let's say you want to have an extra Aaron Hicks. Now we're at 23, bud. If it's only 24 men, you got one more guy. Do you want to go with a pitcher?
No, you go backup catcher. You bring up Higgy.
Oh, there you go. I'm sorry, I forgot Higgy. So guess what? Now we're at 24 guys, and that's where it's capped. So
is it 24 or is it 26? Comments if anybody's here.
I really don't know, man.
Let me know. If it is 26, like I said, I feel like you got most of that pretty spot on. I think you got Trevino at catcher, you got Rizzo at first, you got Glaber at second. I would try LeMahieu at short, and Donaldson at third, and IKFF the bench because he's a speed threat and he's another guy that you could play at short or at second. You can use him as a utility guy as well for the middle infield, and then outfield obviously Benintendi, Bader, and Judge. Yeah. DH is going to be Stanton.
Whether you want or DJ, that doesn't matter. You know, that's obviously up to Boone.
All that matters is that DJ needs to be in the lineup.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's short, first, second, third, he needs to be in the lineup.
Now with a 26-man roster, that can make you get that might make room for a Taillon or for a Britton if they make it back in time. Maybe even a Clark Schmidt. How about that? If it's 26, dude, I'd rather have Clark Schmidt in the.
Well, Miguel Castro is also going to come back.
Castro in a heartbeat.
Matt Carpenter has a chance to come back as well.
Yeah, so I'm doing this with Carpenter right now just to get I put Clark Schmidt in there. He's the 8th reliever, and it leaves us for one more bench guy, maybe a young player like Cabrera or like Castro with Hicks, Gonzalez, Higgy, and Torres.
But here's the thing. That sounds like a great roster. Or are they just going to outright designate Abreu and Litke for assignment? They would need to do that to make that space. Or that's your 25 and 26th man. But I don't really see them getting much playtime in the playoffs to begin with.
Can we just DNF already fucking Abreu? Like, I know the Yankees love the fact that he throws 99, 100, and they want to see what they got with him. But stop. I rather put him in a trade because he's a live arm than sit there and try to see what we had with him. This isn't Yankees are an organization that they sit there and held on to these guys and see what they got. Like, let's go already. Like let's move them for a good player.
Well, he's already a guy that's been cut twice this season. I don't really know what his market value would be. He would need to be a part of a package.
He gets designated for assignment. Someone's picking him up. That's why the Yankees didn't move him down. That's why Marinaccio and Schmidt went down. They had options.
Yeah.
Licky
also doesn't have options.
Yeah. Licky and Abreu didn't have options, and none of those guys did. That's why they didn't get sent down. That's why those two guys did.
Well, that's what I'm saying. With your proposed playoff roster, Abreu and Litke would need to be gone before the playoffs.
Who cares? At this point, we got Wandy Peralta and Chapman as the lefties. And I'll tell you what, Efros gets lefties better out than those guys do.
Yeah, he's insane, especially for a sidewinder.
The thing about Efros that's great is that he's under control for 5 more years. He's a 28-year-old rookie. So in hindsight, you actually have this guy for the rest of his career pretty much. Because what is he going to do at 34, 35?
At least his prime, yeah. We got him for at least the prime of his career, and hopefully he could stay at this pace.
Yeah. So like I said, dude, I love the roster that me and you came up with. I have no problem to get rid of Licky and Abreu. We got plenty of guys to throw that we don't about Licky and our lefty specialists when we got the other guys we already have. So that's what I would do.
All right, I can agree with that for the most part. Like I said, I just think when it comes to just smaller things, I wouldn't be surprised to see IKF or Donaldson coming off the bench come postseason time. Just because you could put another guy there, and they could work well off the bench.
Donaldson's gloves very valuable. They're still an elite third baseman fielding the ball.
But in the lineup, would you rather have Donaldson or DJ?
No, I agree with that. Yes, but it's not going
to. Okay, fine. Then in the lineup, would you rather have Donaldson or Glaber?
Donaldson.
Really?
This is the reason why I say this. This is the reason why I say that. You ready? Because if Glaber's not playing, what are you going to do? You're going to put LeMahieu at third and then DJ at second, and then you're sitting out Donaldson totally, and then you have Stanton DH. You didn't make this trade to get Donaldson to have him sit in the playoffs. It's not happening. No way.
Well, we made the trade to get rid of Gary Sanchez. We took on that contract.
But they also did it because they obviously clearly like something about Donaldson as well. And I'm telling you, it's going to be between LeMahieu and Torres. And Torres is going to sit more than anybody else. Watch. You got my word. Unless Stanton is not healthy and he can't be on the roster, then you'll see Donaldson probably DH with LeMahieu at third and Glaber at second. But I'm telling you, man, Glaber Torres is going to sit more than people think. I promise it. You heard it right now. Watch.
All right. Head to head, Torres has a better batting average, better slugging, better OPS, more total bags, less strikeouts, 12 less walks, but 30 less strikeouts, more RBIs, more home runs, about the same amount of triples, 20 more hits. Yes, Donaldson is the better fielder. He's the better guy to have defensively, but DJ makes up for that at third base. And I think I would rather have Torres in the lineup over Donaldson.
Yeah, listen, I can't disagree with you, but I think that Torres is going to sit more. I don't think you know how Boone's a little unpredictable. I think he's going to sit Glaber a little bit more than we think.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Well, at the end of the day, we'll see, because as bad as the Yankees have looked recently, we are still a playoff-bound team, a highly seeded playoff-bound team. So we're gonna see what Boone decides to throw out there, and we'll see which one of us is right at the end of the day. Hopefully, neither of these guys get injured. I don't want it to be decided that way.
No, of course not. The rotation is going to be a 4-man rotation. Severino's not the pen. It's going to be Cole, Montes, Heavy.
All right. I could see that. I have nothing against that at all. But like I said, we got to see. This is a very, again, it's the problem that we've run into for the most part of the season, where this team is built very, very well, that we need to make some decisions on. Sometimes good players are going to sit.
Yeah, you want to know what, though? Like we discussed earlier, and Ray talked about it. I'm tired and annoyed at seeing sitting. Stop resting. Play him. Play DJ. DJ the cortisone shot. Like, enough. These are grown men. They're playing. They don't have tears. They're slightly beat up. Let them play. Don't rest Judge and the guy that we need in the lineup. I think it's stupid and silly, personally.
Well, tonight we do, like I said, we do have DJ leading off, playing second. The lineup tonight is DJ at second, leading off, followed by Judge in right, Rizzo at first, Donaldson at third, Benintendi in left, Torres at DH, Oswaldo Cabrera at short, Trevino behind the plate, and Florial out in center, with Montas taking the mound tonight against Toronto.
I'm really eager to just honestly all I care about tonight right now, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. I want to tonight. This guy was having a pretty solid year at Oakland before he came here, and he hasn't really been great. I know he missed a little bit of time, but I'm hoping he can have a really good start tonight. Tonight's game, and I expect him to pitch well.
Yeah, that's a guy that we pulled from the West Coast, and he was dealing with some stuff. Speaking of that, let's talk about a guy that we sent to the West Coast, who seemingly has found the reason why we got him in the first place. Joey Gallo has performed really well as a Dodger, and it sucks that he could not have done that here. It sucks that he felt that he was under so much pressure that he couldn't really be himself. What are your thoughts on Joey Gallo's tenure here and how the fans treated him?
All right. Tenure good. It's not. I mean, you don't need to be science to understand that. The guy batted 160 for a full calendar year and hit like 20-something home runs. Good glove, but clearly a guy who couldn't handle the New York pressure. And listen, I lived in Vegas, man, so I've been to LA a lot. Yeah, it's a big market, but playing in LA and playing in New York are two different things, okay? The spotlight's not on you in LA. It's on you in New York, whether you're with the Yankees or the Mets. So it's a guy who clearly couldn't hack it here. I have no problem booing the guy when he came to the plate. I had no problem booing the guy when he ran out to the outfield. He strikes out. You want to boo him on the way back to the dugout? No problem. You shouldn't be able to sit there and when the guy's walking down the street, yell obscenities at him and treat the guy like a piece of garbage. I don't agree with that. So as a New Yorker, a Yankee fan, I'm embarrassed by that. I don't think it's right ever. You want to boo him, like we said, when you spend $150 on a ticket, Chris, you want to boo the guy, boo him. No problem at all.
Yeah.
But the guy, these names in the street, bro, I have a real problem with. I think it's a bad representation of New York, and I don't like it personally. He's batting like, what, 250 or something out there in L.A., couple home runs, some hits.
Since getting to LA, he's hitting 260 with a 1 OPS, 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, 10 strikeouts, and 2 walks. He's only played 9 games. He's only got 26 plate appearances. But that is the guy that we thought we were getting. And that's what's the most frustrating part about it.
Yeah, listen, the guy went out there. He's not dealing with all the BS. He doesn't have to be a huge piece of that team already because they're already winning without him. So I think it's a lot of pressure off of him, and it's easier for him to just go there.
All right, but it's not like that wasn't the case here in New York. And I understand what you were saying with the spotlight issue. New York is just a bigger and brighter light. But you're talking about a team that still had Aaron Judge, DJ LeMahieu having a bounce back year, Gleyber Torres having a bounce back year. Anthony Rizzo, while he's hitting like 230, he's still a very good first baseman and a key part of this lineup. This is not a team that needed Joey Gallo to go for 40 home runs. We just needed him to be serviceable at the plate. We needed him to get those walks, not be able to at least make contact with a high fastball.
Well, this is the problem. This is the fans that really added to it. It's not just what he thought he could do for the team or what we thought he could do for us. The guy was getting, and every which way he went, he said at one point he didn't want to leave his apartment on days off. That's bad, dude. Like, that's not good.
Yeah. It was rough to watch.
Not good when he. That's it.
No, true enough. And Michael Kay has also said some words where it's like where he feels like he's playing the victim and all that. I wouldn't go that far because sometimes New York fans can be bitter. Sometimes they can go a little overboard. But at the end of the day, when I see Joey Gallo in Texas and I see Joey Gallo in LA in his first 10 games there, I'm like, where did it disappear in the middle? This was the best place where his swing could have played.
Oh, dude, I thought the guy could have hit 50 home runs here in a full calendar year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he ended up hitting like 20 in like 162 game span. So,
tell you, man, it just shows, but literally, it's just this is not the first that we got from another that we thought was going to be good for us. And New York, Carl Pavone, another one. I mean, if I really dig up, find plenty of guys who struggled in New York but played well everywhere else. It just is what it is, man.
Well, like there was AJ Burnett after the first year. He played outstanding the World Series year, but then after that he kind of fell off a cliff.
Yep.
Andy Chavez when he was here, after being a great third baseman in Oakland, kind of didn't do anything here. I again completely understand the spotlight difference when it comes to when it comes to playing for the New York Yankees, the premier team in baseball. I understand that, but it's still frustrating to see. And I know Joe's going crazy in the group chat every time Gallo hits a home run. He's still waving the Gallo flag even in LA. But I would really have liked to seen that Joey Gallo here in New York, and that's where my frustration comes from.
So how much it would have lengthened our lineup to have Gallo bat sixth and be able to hit 40 home runs behind Stanton, Judge, and so.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm coming from. Where like that guy is what he really is, and was what we're seeing in LA is what we saw in Texas. That's the guy that we should have gotten, but we just didn't. And yes, the fans played a part, but it comes down to if you don't play as bad, the fans won't get on you as much.
Yeah.
And it's just that simple. But one of the other guys that we traded away for Harrison Bader, Jordan Montgomery, has been lights out since going to St. Louis. And we were talking about it earlier in the group chat how Montgomery may not be the biggest loss, but I think he would have been a very good piece to put on that playoff roster. He's another lefty that you could have put into the pen for long relief instead of having Litke in there, who we might have to keep just because we may just not DFA him and we can't send him down. So it comes to the point, but I really do want to point that I was always a Jordan Montgomery fan. I liked him. His curveball would just drop off of a table. He had crazy drop on it. His slider was nasty. Great changeup. Not the best fastball, but he still had room to improve. And I think he's shown that while he's been in St. Louis. Granted, he's played a struggling Yankees team, a struggling Milwaukee team, and a bad Colorado team. But he only has one earned run over the last 16 innings. So, there's being good and being put in favorable situations, and then there's just he's doing his job and he's doing it well, and I feel like that can be missed, especially when Harrison Bader hasn't even cut his hair yet, I don't think, to play for the Yankees. So that's just where I'm coming from when it comes to Montgomery.
Yeah, I'm on a complete opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to Monty. I guarantee you right now, He wouldn't have made the playoff roster.
He would have made the playoff roster. That's ridiculous. He definitely would have made it.
Stop.
He definitely would have made it.
Dude, we went through the bullpen, guys. Stop me when he replaces one of these guys in the bullpen. Ready?
Okay.
Chapman, Marinaccio, Peralta, Trevino, Schmidt, Holmes, Efros.
Schmidt's not even on the team.
Who's not?
Schmidt.
But he's making it. That's a guarantee. I promise you that.
If Jordan Montgomery was still on this team, he wouldn't. Because Jordan Montgomery's off this team, he has a better shot at making it.
I'm telling you, I forgot who I wrote underneath Efros' name. My handwriting I just scribbled because it was going so fast. But Chapman, Marinaccio, Peralta, Trevino, Holmes, Efros, Schmidt, and I forgot who I wrote down here. My handwriting's so sloppy. But
you put Tyon? You put Tyon in there for the fifth?
With a G.
With a G? Jesus, I have no idea.
Looks like a G.
Green, Britton, no. Holmes, no.
Wait, check it out. This is my problem with Monty.
We also have Jonathan Loizaga. That's another guy in the pen.
Oh yeah,
I don't think you mentioned him.
This one, Loizaga. Okay, so there you go. So that other name is off the roster now, Loizaga. German
was the last name you put. Domingo. Okay.
So the problem I have with Monty is this. I'm tired of seeing a guy struggle to pitch 5. Struggle. Okay. Didn't have an out pitch. His curveball's great. If that wasn't on, he can't beat you with a fastball. Slider's not that good. Changeup was okay. But like you said, 16 innings through 5 starts. Same stuff that he was doing with us. Nothing crazy. Yeah, 1 earned run, but
it's only been 3 starts.
I think the guy's very replaceable. Very replaceable. And I don't even think he would have made the postseason roster. They saw a chance to get better at center field with one of the best defensive center fielders in the league when healthy. And I think it's
yeah. Okay. It is absolutely a judgment call right now for the sheer fact that I haven't seen Harrison Bader play in 4 months, and he still hasn't suited up as a Yankee yet. And I'm seeing what Jordan Montgomery is doing right now, and I recognize that Jordan Montgomery was one of the least supported pitchers in baseball over the last 2 years. Where he may not be able to go more than 6 innings. I've given Tyon crap for that all year. I gave him crap for that last year. But Montgomery I feel like he was that different guy that he doesn't throw 95. He's a guy that isn't going to kill you, and he's a lefty, and he's a guy that you could throw in the bullpen for long relief. If somebody like Severino goes down or he's not fully ready for that playoff setting, which he hasn't pitched in as a starter since 2017?
For Severino in the postseason?
Yeah, I know he made a relief appearance last year, but I don't think he's pitched since 2018 starting as a starter for this team.
That far back, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like he could have been a great guy for long relief. He's a lefty, and he may not have that out pitch, but he doesn't allow a lot of runs.
The saddest part about Luke Monty was his fiance story.
Oh yeah. I saw the Instagram story.
I mean, the med school, her residency in one of the hospitals in New York City, dude. She was so happy, and then they got traded away. That's the saddest part about Luke Monty was his fiance not being able to go to school there or our residency in New York. The rest of it, see you later, buddy. I would have drove the guy to St. Louis myself in my car.
I don't get the Monty slander. I love Jordan Montgomery. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just a Monty believer, but he has proven my beliefs correct in St. Louis so far.
Wait till you see Bader play center full time.
All right. Well, since we're on the topic of the St. Louis Cardinals, they have one of the best players to ever do it on his way to 700 home runs right now. Albert Pujols, during the route today, hit a grand slam. He's at 690 with about 40 games left in the season, 30 games left in the season. Do you think that Albert Pujols will be able to get to 700 home runs? Because this is it. This is his last year. Him, Waino, and Yachty are all going out, riding off into the sunset. Do you think there's enough time in this season for him to get those 10 more home runs?
Is there enough time for him to do it? Yeah. Will he? No shot.
Really?
Listen, Aaron Judge had 46. He's on pace for like 62. You're gonna tell me that Judge is gonna hit 6 balls, could possibly hit 10? No way. I'll take the stone cold under right now of 700 on any bet. No way. That's a lot, dude. 10 more home runs in 35 games. That means every 3.5 games, Pujols has to hit one out. How much playing time are you really getting to even be able to do that?
He did hit that grand slam coming off the bench today, so he's not an everyday starter.
They're not going to sacrifice the team because they're in the race to get him at bats to get him to 700. If they were out of contention, I would say maybe because he'll play a lot, right?
Yeah. Well, right now they're leading the Central.
Yeah,
they have a 3-game lead over Milwaukee, who's struggling right now.
Let's just say now if they don't win the division, the wild card is out, right? Because the records are better for the wild card right now. The division, right?
Right now, they would, if they were to lose the next couple of games, standing right now, they would be out. They'd be behind Atlanta, Philadelphia, and San Diego.
That's what I'm saying. So right now, do you think that I love the Albert story? One of the best hitters that I've seen play. Because I'm 38, so I love Albert, but they're not going to sacrifice other guys at bat better at this just so he can hit 700. Now, if they had a 10-game, different story. If they had out by 10 games, they might get him some burn. I don't see him at bats with guys when they're in a division race. So I say no.
I can completely understand that, and I know you don't have in front of you what I do. I'm looking at the games that they have. Listen to the teams that they're closing out the season against. They have the Diamondbacks, the Cubs, the Reds, the Cubs again, the Nationals, Pittsburgh, the Reds again, Pittsburgh, and then Pittsburgh for 6 straight to close out the year.
That's a nice schedule for them.
That is a cakewalk of a schedule. The only tough teams you got to play in there, you got San Diego for 3 games, you got the Dodgers for 3 games, and then late September you have 2 games against Milwaukee, which if you just completely bottom out and you somehow lose half these games that I mentioned, then maybe that's for the division. But I think looking in front of them, they have a pretty easy schedule. So later in the season, I feel like mid-September, they could play Pujols every other day. Well, and I think it could be done. I really want to see it too.
At that point, if they have an 8-game division with 15 games to go, maybe Albert gets a lot of reps. Let's say he's at 695, okay, with 10 games to go. Maybe they try to put him in there more to get him that extra 5. But I just don't see it happening, man. How many home runs does he have on the year?
I'll check that for you right now. I forgot what it was.
From my cell phone, so I can't Google anything.
It was his 11th of the season.
You want a guy to hit 10 more, where through 120 games he has 11. That's why I think it's very hard.
But again, he hasn't been the main guy, and with the cakewalk schedule they have, I definitely think he can get more reps.
How many plate appearances does he have?
I'll find that out for you right now. This is not including today because BR has not updated it as of yet. Right now, he has 215 plate appearances, which is more than he had last year, and about the same amount of at bats. But this is when he was on the Dodgers, which again, where he wasn't playing a lot.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. Listen, I would love for the guy to hit 700, but I really highly, highly doubt it. Like I said, I don't know, but God bless Albert. Good luck to him. The guy's great. But who knows? We'll see. I mean, let's wish him the best, but let's focus on his Yankee team, man, trying to win some damn games. Because right now, we're lucky to have a 10-game division lead still, but we need to set the tone, and it starts tonight at home against Toronto. We can really blow them out of the water, man. I mean, they're 11 games behind us. Let's just beat them up. Let's take 3 or 4 and show them, like, hey, listen, we're back.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I'm tired of watching the team where they are.
We have a 10-game lead over both Tampa Bay and Toronto, and then a 12-game lead over Baltimore. So
let me just tell you something. all these people that want to talk about the Yankees, let me tell you something. The fact that this team has a 10-game lead after going what? 2-14, 2-13 at one point, like at one stretch during this bad run that we're 8-24.
Yeah, we're and even now we're 3-7 in our last 10.
There you go. Have a 10 still. So all you guys can piss off. Okay? That's all I gotta say.
But yeah, the Yankees are like I said, even with the struggles, unless we completely collapse, we're gonna be a playoff team, and we're probably gonna be a highly seeded playoff team. The only team that has us right now is Houston, and they are 77-43. We are 73-45. Houston is the only team that is above us right now in the standings, AL wise, and that's not a team you want to see in the AL. But there's no way that we completely bottom out and are fighting for a wild card spot by the end of the year. So we're going to be fine.
Yeah, we just got to get guys healthy and picked out. Fix the bullpen. He was going to make the team for the bullpen for the postseason. See what guys we're going to go with, who we're going to call up, who we're going to send down positional wise. Let's get some at bats before that and see what we're going to do.
When it comes to a wild card game, who are you trying to see? Right now, Seattle, Tampa Bay, and Toronto hold the 3 wild card spots, and Minnesota, Baltimore, and Chicago are all within 3 games.
Who would I rather face in the first round?
Yeah, in a wild card series, right? And remember, wild card is now a 3-game series. It's not one and done. It's 3 games. It's best of 3.
From first, second, to third. First being who I would want to play, I would say I would like to play Tampa 1, Toronto 2, and Seattle 3.
Okay, so you don't think that Minnesota, Baltimore, or Chicago sneak in there? They're all within 3 games of a wild card spot right now.
Oh, and that's why I went with those 3 teams in order, because I would rather Tampa than Toronto than Seattle. The reason why I say Seattle last is because they got really good pitching and a good bullpen, and if it comes back, they're going to be really good. Toronto, their pitching is not that great, man. They got a couple, 1 or 2 guys here and there. Tampa just doesn't look that good at all. They just took 2 or 3 from them, but I'd rather play them first. Seattle, I think Seattle's the best team out of those 3.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with Luis Castillo, that's just a 3-man rotation that you don't want to see. Especially if it's only a 3-game series. If you got to see Robbie Ray, Castillo, and Gilbert, yeah, I couldn't think of the third guy's name. You don't want to see them 3 games in a row. But I can understand that. Honestly, I'm a Baltimore believer. I think they can sneak in as well.
Love you, Chris.
Listen, Toronto fired their manager. Toronto is a middling team. They only have a 2-game lead over Baltimore right now. I really, really, really like Baltimore to sneak in there. Minnesota, I really don't care about. There's only going to be 1 team out of the Central to make it, in my opinion. So Chicago, Minnesota, they're out. But I could definitely see Baltimore sneaking in because they are hot right now. They're getting hot at the right time. And I want to see that team. They're not going to make a run by any means because, again, they would either have to face us or Houston in the first round. And they're going to get beat.
Yeah, listen, I hope Baltimore makes it just because it's good for that team. But I think they're in trouble if they make it anyway. They're going to get killed.
No, of course I'm not saying that they're going to make a run. But I think it'd be cool to say. It'd be nice to see that, a team with a low payroll that isn't Tampa Bay.
That's what I'm saying.
With a team that's on a rebuild. Yeah. All right, so that's pretty much our show. I'm gonna get into the top 10 real quick. Tommy, you got anything to add before we get in to the top 10?
No, man. Just I hope you can turn around starting tonight. Build off that big win last night with Donaldson hitting a grand slam to take us home and save that series from getting swept by Tampa. And hopefully we turn around tonight, man, and just start playing well. That's really pretty much what I'm looking forward to.
All right.
And Montes. I want to see a good start from Montes tonight.
Seeing Frankie, yeah. All right.
That's it, bud. Let's see this top 10. I'm ready for it. It's been 2 weeks.
So you just mentioned him. Number 10, he snuck in here with the grand slam last night. I was thinking of Trevino because he's hit nearly 300 in the last couple of weeks. Trevino, honorable mention. But number 10 is Josh Donaldson. Look at that man. swing that bat. Look at the pimp after the big home run. I think Josh Donaldson is a very good player, and he has been, he's been serviceable over the last 14. He's hitting 250 and 850 OPS, 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, 4 of them coming off of the Grand Slam last night. He came up big. Another guy that came up big last night, but just he's hit like under 100 over the last 20 games has been Rizzo, which means I could not put him on this list. Donaldson came through. He won it first last night. Stellar defensive third baseman. I would love to see him make a little bit more contact. 250 is great over the last 14. If he can keep this up, I think he will be a great piece of this team.
Yeah.
Especially because we have been a struggling team. Number 9, I got Jameson Taillon, who I need to give his flowers. He finally got past 6 innings over his last 2 starts. Over his last 2 starts, he got 7 innings. And that was really my only gripe with him. He was a guy that really couldn't go past 6. And that's where I really started to kind of dog on him, because he would be 100 pitches, 5 1/3 through the game. And I really didn't believe in him. Over the last 2, he's been all right. He's only allowed 3 runs in both of those starts, which of course you want that to come down to maybe 2, maybe 1, or not at all. But I think it's finally time that I give Jameson Taillon a little bit of recognition, and I think he was the 9th best player over the last couple of weeks. Number 8, we got DJ LeMahieu. And DJ, I think, would have been higher if he had been able to stay healthy. And before, he was probably hurt. I can recognize that. He was probably hurt. But he did have a little rough stretch over the last week before he was injured, before he was declared injured. He had that 0 for 5 game, he had an 0 for 4 game, and he had an 0 for 3 game. So I am saying that DJ LeMahieu, I love this guy. In August, he's hitting same as Donaldson, 250. 3 doubles. He scored 6 times. He doesn't strike out, or he strikes out as much as he walks. I love DJ LeMahieu. If he was able to stay healthy, he would definitely be higher on this list. But for right now, I would have to put him at number 8, and he'll probably be higher next week if he could stay healthy. Number 7, Domingo Germán. He did get a little shelled last night, but he was at number 4 a couple of weeks ago, so he definitely did go down. Still, though, over his last 3 starts, he does have 13 strikeouts. The strikeouts are coming back. He's gotten a little bit of his stuff back from what we saw of him 3-4 years ago, and he's not getting shelled when we first brought him back against was it Houston? Was it Houston? He went back to back. He went Houston and then it went to the Mets. Those were 2 very bad games for him to come back to.
Yep, Houston was bad. We actually discussed that was a bad time to bring him back, if you remember.
Yeah. Other than that, I feel like he's been solid. I feel like he's definitely a guy that I wouldn't mind on the playoff roster. He's a guy that I wouldn't mind coming out of the pen, throwing 3 innings, throwing an inning or 2, and he's a guy that I think has really shown that he still has what it takes at the MLB level. Being as we haven't seen a lot from him out of the last 3 years, I feel like he's a guy that we can definitely build around as a late rotation piece. And this season, in his limited starts, I feel like he's proven that.
Yeah.
Number 6, I got Aroldis Chapman. He struggled earlier. He was lights out to begin the year, struggled, went on the IL, came back, struggled again. But over his last 10 appearances, other than last night, where, phantom runner at second, and we all know Chapman does struggle when he inherits runners. That's been a thing. That's been a theme throughout his entire career. He immediately inherits the runner on second, walks 2 guys, and is 1 strike away from getting out of it. But Mejia puts the barrel to the ball on a very good pitch. Those 2 runs are on him, along with the phantom runner at second. Other than that, he's been lights out over his last 10 games. 11 strikeouts, only 4 hits, 3 walks. 2 of them came last night. I think Aroldis Chapman right now is the closer of this team, and I think he is going to be the guy going forward. for the future of this team. Do I trust him? No, I still don't. I'm never going to trust this man. But I do think he is going to be the closer come postseason time, just because Clay Holmes has kind of regressed to his Pittsburgh form, back to what we kind of expected. Again, he was lights out to start the year. But I think it's around this time where we got to really consider Aroldis Chapman as the closer of this team again. Number 5, we got Nasty Nestor. I still haven't found a better picture. But over his last 3, his first 2 starts were good. He would have been in the top 3 if it wasn't for his most recent start. He kind of got bullied a little bit, gave up the home run early, and I think Nestor has been great all season. Not at all what we expected from him. He's overachieved over and over again. We've talked about it week in and week out, and I still think he's a top 5 player on this team, and I feel like he proved that over the last couple of weeks. His strikeouts are pretty solid. If you're averaging just under 1 an inning, I think that's fine. The 3.93 ERA is not what you want to see over the last 3, but before that, in his previous 2, he had like a 1.91. He really just got beat up in his last game, and that's what makes this look so bad. Other than that, he's still a great player. Number 5 on this team. Number 4, new addition. We got Andrew Benintendi, another guy that struggled when he first got to the team. He was like 1 for 21, came back, and I think, this is about what you would expect from Andrew Benintendi. He's a 280 hitter. He's not going to hit the ball over the fence, but he's going to be the guy that moves people. He's a guy that gets on base. He's a guy that scores. He's a guy that hits stuff into the gap, and he's a great defender. We saw a couple of great, what was it? It was in Boston where he had that great diving catch to end the inning and get out of a jam. So Andrew Benintendi is a guy that I would definitely say has, again, talking about Joey Gallo earlier, he's definitely acclimated himself to New York better than someone like Gallo had. And I think he's definitely a top 4 player on the team over the last couple of weeks. Number 3, we got the Karate Kid, because he has 1 run, 4 hits, and 28 strikeouts over the last 24 and a third innings. This guy has been absolutely the fact that he was sent down is crazy. And I understand why. All the politics and all the, you can't send certain guys down. This guy should not have been sent down at the time that he was. He has been lights out. He's been the most reliable arm in the pen over the last, I'd say 3 months, 4 months maybe. Especially with guys like Michael King and Clay Holmes going down. Chapman's hit or miss. This is the guy that, if we need to get out of a jam right now, there's nobody I trust more than Karate Kid Ron Marinaccio. Number 2, we got our ace, Garrett Cole. Going back to what we talked about earlier, run support was just not there for him. He's lost 2 of his last 3 games, and it really hasn't been on him. He has 1 earned run in his last 2 starts, and you can make a case that really should be on Hicks. And even before that, you could say 3 of the runs in his last 3 could be on IKF for misplaying a grounder. Either way, in his last 2 starts, he's got 13 innings, 9 hits, 1 run, 14 strikeouts, and a .69. He's under 1. Yes, small sample size, but he is the Garrett Cole that we have been clamoring for all year ever since we signed him. And I think if he could keep this going up into the postseason, because of course, I've said it before, there's going to be at least 1 game a month where he just gets dogged, where he just gets speed bagged, and that just happens sometimes. Hopefully, he can limit that for the rest of the year and be the Garrett Cole that these numbers are showing. And all right, that's nasty. Sticky situation. That's nasty. But listen. They haven't caught him yet. That's all that matters. I'm not denying that he has stuff on his hat. It's very visible on his hat. But they haven't caught him yet. And they check him pretty regularly. If you watch the games, they do check him pretty regularly. But number 1, is there any question doubt, concern on who exactly the best player on this team is since the All-Star break. He's hitting 350, a 1.3 OPS, 13 home runs, 31 RBIs. He's scoring as much as he's striking out. And that is something for Aaron Judge that I don't think a lot of people would, a lot of people thought Aaron Judge is not a guy that hits for average. He strikes out a lot, really only hits for power. He's a guy that has been getting on base a ton since the All-Star break. And I don't think there's any argument. He's the best player on this team. He's the best player in the world right now. MVP. Tommy, your thoughts on the top 10?
I like the top 10. It was good. 1, 2, 1 Judge. 2 was who was 2 again?
2 was Cole.
Cole, and 3 was Marinaccio, and 4 was Benintendi.
Yeah. 5 Nestor, 6 Chapman, 7 Domingo, 8 DJ, 9 Tyone, and 10 Donaldson.
Yeah, it was a good one. It's kind of crazy, but not a whole lot to choose, right? You gotta pick and choose, right? Put a guy who's only that, but you got 2 of them because we really don't have, Stanton's, but Janino hasn't really been, good top 10. Judge, what Judge did All-Star break is great. Great to watch. Marinaccio is really good. Obviously, we were talking about why he couldn't get sent down. Otherwise, he would have been up here, and it would have been nice to go to him rather than we had no choice.
Yeah.
I think it's a solid top 10, man. I think probably the one he did a couple weeks ago was really good. I think he's one up there with it, to be honest.
You hit the nail on the head. It was kind of hard to pick some guys because there have been some really bad performances over the last couple of weeks. Guys like Hicks, Glaber, Rizzo, these guys just disappearing. Again, Trevino would have been an honorable mention, but he doesn't have the pop over the last couple of weeks. He's got 1 RBI over the last 13 games. And Donaldson ended up winning us the game last night, and I couldn't not put him in there because of that.
I have no problem with Donaldson unless he's been, batting a whole lot, but it's what he's been doing for a while. Guys are Glaber and Stanton not being lined up. So, man, top 10. No one in the book really been blowing anybody out of the water for Marinaccio. So, good job, man. Solid top 10. I got the game on now. So, Mondas is about to start behind the dish. Hopefully, we get a big W tonight. Hopefully, well, we can build off Grand Slam winner last night.
Yeah. Perfect time to end off episode 10, double digits. We've made it. Game's about to start. Tommy, anything to end off on before we close it out?
Listen, man, we got a 4-game homestand here. 2 against the Mets, right?
Six game stand. We got the 2 at the Mets as well.
Oh, yeah. So 4 against Toronto at home, 2 against the Mets at home. We got some tough pitching. We're going to take. So, go 4-2. I'll be really happy because it's tough going against Scherzer and DeGrom. If we can somehow snag one of those, take 3 or 4 from Toronto, I'll be happy next Thursday.
All right. Well, that is episode 10 in the books. Hopefully, we will be back next week, but you never know with this show, really. Something's always going wrong behind the scenes. Something's always getting signed out.
Back because we missed the show last Mets. I promise you, I'll make sure. And we're ready to go. We're going to go next week. We're going to discuss how we beat up From next
week. Might as well bring Jeff onto the show too, just so we could laugh at him, or he can laugh at us. We'll see. But that is the show. Thank you everybody for joining us. This will be up on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of the above. And hopefully, if you missed some of this episode, you can go back and watch it. And that is going to be all for us here at Fired Up Sports. Tommy and Chris, we will see you next week.
Good night.